Do you guys like videos about non-car guys? Of course y'all degenerates do, those are my most viewed videos on this channel. Well guess what, I made this video for you guys. I also made it for people who are non-car people and would love to actually understand what we are talking about. Today I'll be explaining a large variety of terms and other slang and jargon used in the car community and what they mean. Ricer. This is a horribly overused term, and most of the people who use this term don't even use it correctly. A ricer is someone who has a car that exhibits multiple traits that would classify it as rice. Rice stands for Racing Inspired Cosmetic Enhancement. Remember that there is a difference between an actual racing enhancement, like a well done wing, for example the wing on the Viper ACR, that is an actual racing enhancement, when compared to something that is just an inspired cosmetic mod, for example. Some people also say that rice can even mean really immature car enthusiasts, but we're not going to brush on that. Now, as for how not to use this term, I've got an example for that. Unfortunately, here on university campus, I've found some overprivileged idiots who use this term as a racist term. They think it has something to do with Asians and Hispanics driving Asian or lowrider cars, so whenever they see an Asian or Hispanic driving, they shout ricer. Get it? Because Asians and Hispanics eat rice, so it must have something to do with them. No, you're brain-dead mofos who love to turn anything into a derogatory term instead of realizing that this term belongs to us, the car community. So don't use this term if you don't know what it means, you freaking normies. It's not a racist term. It doesn't apply to a specific race or a specific country that manufactures vehicles. Any person in any car can be a ricer. For example, a 16-year-old in a Chevy Cavalier. I've probably seen more ricer Cavaliers than I have Honda Civics. So stop using this as a racist term because that's not what it is, and go and learn an actual insult, like even your mom jokes are 10 tiers above any racist insult ever. Sorry for the rant, just kidding, not sorry, I love ranting. Anyways, moving on. NA, naturally aspirated, is what NA stands for, which means the car doesn't rely on forced induction. Just to simplify things, forced induction usually refers to a turbocharger or supercharger. Most people like to use this term as a badge of honor because, like most other communities, being all natural comes with a level of respect. People who NA tune vehicles mostly rely on intake, exhaust, and several engine modifications in order to make power. The benefits of a NA vehicle include easier maintenance due to less parts, better reliability due to less parts, and better throttle response since they don't have turbo lag. For older vehicles, NA tuning is a cheap way to gain power, but for modern vehicles, forced induction is becoming more prevalent and similar in price. So the budget advantage no longer exists from that standpoint. However, the reliability and low maintenance NA still makes it worth the effort, which is why I myself am going to keep my GT NA since I also rely on it as my daily driver. Going to Mexico. This is a phrase we use when we're totally doing completely 100% guaranteed legit legal things. You know how some 18-year-old normies sneak into Mexico to drink alcohol? It's like that, except we're not actually going to Mexico, and what we're doing is far more intense than anything a night of drinking will do for you. I mean, we aren't actually going to Mexico because when we do the action, we're already in Mexico. You know what I mean, right? Seriously, if you haven't gotten the hint, I'll explain it briefly. We use this phrase when doing street racing. So when people first used this phrase, it was to avoid legal action since by saying it was done in Mexico, it falls outside the jurisdiction of the US government. And before someone says, well, doesn't it fall in the jurisdiction of the Mexican government then? No, it doesn't, because remember, we were in Mexico, but we weren't in Mexico either. Wink wink, and yes, I had to say wink wink aloud since y'all can't see my face right now. If you still don't get what this phrase means by now, I can't help you anymore. Next. Muscle. Muscle is one of the many subcultures within the car community. Muscle culture revolves around muscle and pony cars, which according to Merriam-Webster's definition are American V8 rear-wheel drive front-engine cars. I will have to disagree with one word in their definition, which is American. A muscle car doesn't have to be American. It's just that it originated in America. However, a large portion of them are also from Australia, so shout out to any of my Aussie viewers. I didn't forget about you all and your Holdens. According to many owners and forums, pony cars are a subset of muscle, so it's like squares and rectangles. I say this because a lot of non-car people call my brother's Camaro and my Mustang a muscle car, and you know what? I just nod my head and take the compliment. I've already said it twice in other videos, but I'll say it again for the third time. Correcting people at car meets and car shows and acting like a know-it-all twat doesn't make you look knowledgeable and cool. It makes you an asshat who no one wants to be around. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I'm having a nice conversation with a non-car person at a car show or car meet and some mofo off to the side suddenly butts in to tell them, "Actually, it's a pony car and you're wrong and you should feel bad now and here's why, because it's a pony car." Don't be that guy. Just take the damn compliment and focus on educating them, not ridiculing them. Now that I've mentioned muscle, I have to mention tuners as well, and you know what, even I'm a bit lost since tuner has a very broad definition and many subsets to it as compared to muscle, which only had a few subsets. In short, it's just as it sounds, a car that features a substantial amount of tuning and modification in the name of performance. However, for whatever reason, most of us in the car community mostly use this term for Japanese and European cars. This is mostly because highly modified American and Australian cars end up in the above aforementioned muscle category instead. There are some American cars that qualify as tuners, most notably hot hatches such as the Ford Focus RS. Sleeper. Sleeper cars are all go and no show. They are the modern stealth ninjas of the car community. A sleeper car by definition is a very normal looking vehicle that is actually quite fast. Sleeper culture has a huge emphasis on trolling the crap out of street racers due to their surprisingly insane speed. Police officers don't bat an eye at them either, and insurance companies tend to insure them like a normal vehicle since on paper they sound like a normal vehicle. Cars like the Ford Taurus SHO, Chevrolet SS, and Volvo 850R are just a few examples. I could list more, but I don't want to sit here all day and list them, so stop asking about where is this car, where is that car. Actually, you know what, I might actually do that since I need to get this video to 10 minutes for that YouTube cash. So more sleeper cars include Mercury Marauder, Ford SVT Contour, Audi RS6, Mazda Speed 6, Cadillac CTS V-Wagon, Volvo V70R. I'm done listing them for now. Anyways, next. Blinker fluid. This is a joke. It doesn't exist. This is a meme that car enthusiasts use to confuse non-car enthusiasts when visiting mechanics. We do this to test your gullibility. No cars need this. Except BMWs. BMWs need tons and tons of blinker fluid. If you own a BMW, make sure to use it. Muffler bearings. Refer to previous definition. Fart can. A fart can is a cheap part found at AutoZone that teenagers actually think is a performance upgrade that gives their car more horsepower. Unlike axleback or catback exhaust systems, most fart cans just replace the muffler and exhaust tip. Some of them even just slip on top of the current pre-existing exhaust. I wish I were lying. Anyone with common sense would realize that in no way, shape, or form could this possibly make your car faster. If anything, you've made your car's performance worse since it now weighs like 4 pounds more, so you've reduced your 0 to 60 time by a whole 0.00001 seconds. No, but seriously, these sound like garbage, so please stop buying these, teenagers. I beg y'all, go save your money and do proper research for a real axleback or catback exhaust system for your car that will weigh less, not sound like garbage, and increase airflow. I have a whole video dedicated to the basics of real exhaust upgrades. I highly recommend you watch it if you're a new car enthusiast, since exhaust upgrades are the most common beginner upgrade and I want y'all to take the first step in the right direction. Four-banger. This is a term used for 4-cylinder engines. If you're a non-car person watching this video, chances are your car is a 4-banger. For the love of God, don't call your base model Honda Accord's engine a V4. It's not a V4, it's an inline 4. It doesn't sound cool to say inline 4, so people say 4-banger instead. Hoonigan. The car community version of the word hooligan. To hoon means to behave in a rude and aggressive way, especially driving dangerously. A hoonigan often does drifting, burnouts, drag racing, etc. Hooptie. A hooptie is a car that is in horrible condition, like quite literally falling apart. Legend says that there is a certain someone here on YouTube who is masochistic enough to enjoy collecting these cars and tried to return them to somewhat serviceable conditions. Restomod. A Restomod is a classic car that has modern features such as a more reliable engine, better interior equipment, and other enhanced components. The purpose of this project is to maintain a balance between classic and modern. A Restomod seeks to make sure that the parts used are not interrupting the charm, heritage, and style of the original vehicle. Donor cars. A donor car is a car that serves the purpose of providing parts for a project. Most donor cars are used for kit cars, but a lot of classic car owners also use donor cars for parts to use on their Restomod. On rare occasion, donor cars are also used for replica cars. Kit cars. A kit car is a car that is built from the ground up using a kit purchased from a certain company. And I'm not just talking about building a car like tuning a car, I'm literally talking about starting with a naked chassis and going up from there. Most kit cars are sold with a chassis and other components like the SLC. They also feature completely original design. This allows the builder to have freedom of choice to use whatever powertrain, suspension, wheels, tires, paint color, etc. It's important to note that some kit cars do not come with a chassis and must rely on a donor car, such as the Vader kit and its need to use an Infiniti G35. Replica cars. A replica car is oftentimes built on a donor car. The process to build them is similar to a kit car, except the final result has an emphasis on appearance instead of performance. Unlike kit cars, replica cars are not unique design. They get their name because they are trying to replicate something that they are not. Most of the times, it's an extreme difference. For example, DNA Automotive sells a replica kit that will turn a Toyota MR2 into a Ferrari 360. I'm not kidding, you heard those words right. They will turn a freaking normal looking car like a Toyota MR2 into a quote unquote supercar appearance wise. Replica cars are a huge taboo subject in the car community. I personally am fine with them, but many people look down on these cars and ridicule them for being something they aren't. And on that note, I'll end this video. I will most likely make a part 2 since I have so many other terms I want to define. But for now, this is all I have for y'all. Share this video to all your normie friends so they can learn a thing or two about car terms. As always, thanks for watching and see y'all next time. Bladed Angel out.